Welcome to the lazyfluency podcast, where we have casual conversations switching between English and Japanese, so you can learn from and with us along the way. I'm Joey,
And I'm Yami.
and the topic of the day is intimacy. But before we get into that, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and or drop a review on whatever platform you're listening on. We appreciate the support. With that out of the way, intimacy. So the reason I'm choosing, I guess we decided to do this topic, but I don't believe I've talked about this, but I'm going to detail an experience I have that I thought was pretty funny when I was taking Japanese. I think this was some sort of we had something that was pretty cool, which was like a manga class or something like that, where we covered, we covered different manga. I think this was like intermediate beginner classes, so there was still like English manga or whatever. But during one of the scenes or something, somebody was hugging somebody or something like that. Or, oh, you know what? No, I remember. Something sad happened, and then one of the students remarked in my classroom, like, oh, I just want to give this person a hug. And then my teacher paused for a second, and then he's like, I don't think I've ever been hugged by my parents. But he said it, and this is in Japanese, and he said it in a very kind of normal way. He wasn't really trying, it wasn't very sad. He just kind of a matter of fact. He's like, yeah, I don't think I've ever been hugged by my parents. But then the entire class was just like, poor teacher, poor you. Because to a primarily American classroom, that never being hugged by your parents is a very depressing reality. But and then he replied that, no, it's not that I am some special person who was never hugged by my parents, but Japanese parents don't hug their children. And as far as I can tell, that's true. But so that's why I wanted to talk about intimacy in general. I guess America and Japan's fine, but do you have any, what's it called? Have you, oh man, I just think it's so brutal. Have you been hugged by your parents?
覚えてないよね。なんだろう。少なくとも。
That's so funny. Oh, it sounds so brutal. When I hear somebody wasn't hugged by their parents, it sounds like some abusive, torture, like their parents hate them with some fervent passion or something like that.
ない。幼稚園、保育園の頃は多分されてたのかな。でも、少なくとも、小中高ではないね。高校でやられたら逆に気持ち悪いってなるもん、多分。いきなりどうした
So you're saying that not only have you not been hugged, but you would turn down any attempts to hug?
じゃあなんていうのそれがペアレンツだったらちょっとどうしたってなる。急に、大丈夫みたいな。ちょっと頭いかれてきたみたいな。
That's funny. From my perspective, parents are the most natural person you would hug.
そうだよね。だって赤ちゃんの時とかさ、お母さんお父さんが抱っこっていうかね、してさ、あれはハグじゃん。ずっとハグしてるようなもんじゃん、あれ。
Yeah.
前に赤ちゃんを置いてそう。
Yeah. In anime, I see people walking up and there's the character archetype of somebody who's very friendly walking up and giving somebody a double arm hug. I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about. But they'll walk up and go yahoo, and then they'll put both their arms around a friend or whatever. Does it change between friends? Do you think people hug more?
挨拶の時に何ハグするの？どういうこと？
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Do you hug any of your friends? So you're not, parents are a no.
No. じゃあいや日本では友達にハグしないよ。
In no situation?
No situation. もう一切しないと思うな。めっちゃめちゃ仲いい女同士だったらするかもしれない。男同士ってあんましない気がするな。女同士だったらたまにだって手とかつなぐし。わかる？
But that's not a greeting, right? That's just like walking around.
あ、そうそう、だから学校帰りとか、よく、小学生はどうかわかんないけど、中学生、高校生で、普通に、仲いい同士で手繋いでたりしてるよ。女の子。
But
ハ
not
グは
not
しない。
nowadays.
ん
Not. What about now? Like, do you think that's common nowadays?
まあって感じかな。まあまあのまあぐらいかな。
Is that? Oh, I don't know where that puts us in the ma scale, but
ハグは絶対しないね。まず。
is there? So you're saying hand contact is pretty much the only metric we have to go
か
with
な。
in terms of like skinship?
あと、それこそさ、女と男で、ハグするっていうのは、また別の意味になっちゃうから、よく帰り際とかさ、よくハグするじゃん。まあ、日本人
Oh,
じゃない
like
人は。
sayonara みたい。
そうそう、日本人じゃない人は、まあ、会った時とか、帰る時とかハグするじゃん ?take care
Yeah.
みたいな感じで。で、それはしないね。うん。
When you're like when people if you were going so if let's say it's you and a friend
うん。
and let's say you're moving to Australia,
OK。
do you just say like じゃあね and then like
終わり。
that's it?
うん。
終わり。
終わり。ハグなんかしないよ。
Does that change if you're like you're in a relationship?
それはもうあれじゃん。それはさ、ボーイフレンドだったらするけどさ、友達には
Well, do they though? Hold up. If people are like dating, do you see them hugging?
いや、す
Or
る
is
と思うよ。
that do you
そう、
only hug in
デイ
private?
リングしてるならするんじゃないあ
Well,
と、
I don't know.
いや、
I don't think I've actually seen even when I was in Japan people hugging
そうな
even if
の
they were dating.
人による、それは人によるね、本当に。これは人によるって。
But when would they hug? Do they hug like to greet each other?
いや、じゃあ、だから空港でさ、別れ際にさ、バイバイつって、
No, I'm just talking about their dating. I'm not talking about somebody's
だって
moving
さ
to
っ
like
きム
another
ーブとか言っ
country.
てたじゃん。なんかよくわかんないけど、まあいいや。
Yeah. No, I'm just saying like if couples hug, when do they hug? That's my
ああ、
question.
それは、まあ、公共の場ではあんましないんじゃない電車とかでしてたら多分みんな、なんだ、ガン見するよね。
So you can only hug from the safety of your
そう
home.
そうそう。まあ、quiet place とか、まあ、あと観覧車の中とかするんじゃない知らない。エレベーター、誰
You
もい
just
ないエ
made
レ
me.
ベ
You
ー
just
タ
reminded me of the movie.
ー。
You remind me of
だか
the
ら私、
Quiet
そ
Place
う
movie
ここで言いた
where
いの
there's
は、
like if. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
人目がないところではするんじゃないだから。
So we don't actually know if people have ever hugged before because we haven't seen them. Like I'm saying, if everybody's hugging in private, who's to say that anybody's ever hugged in Japan?
しないね。しないね。ジョイは、先生とかにもするの何先生
Um.
とかボスとか。なん
So
か。
in America, I definitely think it's like a personality thing. So first off,
うん。
people hugging their parents is like, as far as I know, extremely
う
common.
ん。
Like I don't think that's a personality thing. At least if your parents. Okay, there's like a racial component to this, which can get kind of funny, but it's thought that like the white vibe in like I don't know the Western world, like the white mom is one who's always very like touchy feely, and they're going around hugging all their children,
タッチ
and
フィー
they're
リ
very
ン
soft spoken. Yeah,
だって、
and
う
then
ん。
yeah, go ahead.
なんか、よく見るのがさ、ちっちゃい子に、両親が good night kiss するじゃん。
Yeah.
それもしないね。日本では。
Is there any sort of contact between
ない。
your like
全くない。
parents?
あれではちっちゃい頃さ、ご飯食べれないじゃん。自分で。
Why not? Wait, how young are we
は
talking?
い、How young っていうのは、まあ、赤ちゃんの頃とかさ、まあ。で、
Sure.
ちょうど離乳食食べるとかは自分で食べれないからさ、親がもぐもぐしたのをさ、食べさせられるっていう、それぐらいじゃない。
Isn't that like a penguin? I didn't know parents did that.
だからな、今やるかわかんないけどさ、親がもぐもぐしたやつをさ、ブエって、違うか違うかわかんないけどさ、とりあえず、ちょっと今考えたら気持ち悪いね、なんか。だって人が食べて、
God, yeah.
人が食べてさ、ぐちゃぐちゃになったやつをさ、口の中に入れられるんだよ。嫌だね。
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think now that I'm thinking about it, I do think that the only type of parent that, like the only fathers that like hug their children, at least stereotypically, are like white dads. Like, because minority parents, at least from like, at least the stereotypes are that like the fathers don't hug their children, but I think the mothers do. So that's definitely a culture, especially with Hispanic like communities where like hugging, kissing is super common.
何お父さんはしないの
And like at least that's the stereotype. Like
どっちもだと思ってた。
Hispanic like fathers and like I don't know, African American or whatever, like the dad tends to be more distant.
あ、そうなんだ。
And then the only one that I know that's not the case is like white dads and moms are supposed to be like the joke is that they're overly protective of like their children and they're
ああ、
they'd be the
よく
ones
あるよ
reading
ね。
bedtime stories
う
and
ん。
yeah.
聞くそういうのはなんか、しつけとかも全然人種によって違うとかね。
Yeah, that was like the do you know what a Karen is? Have you heard of the term Karen?
Karen?
It's just a name, but it basically
white.
became
あの、
a Karen is basically a mom,
うん。
mostly white mom,
うん。
who's extremely like entitled, protective and or defensive of like either her like self, her children, or like her money or something she owns.
Is it,
So like during the pandemic, oh, go ahead.
is it Karen? I thought it was Karen.
Yeah, it's Karen.
あ、Karen ね。あ、
Yeah.
そうね。うん。
Oh, so you do know it. Yeah, you have heard of
う
Karen.
ん、なんか、ポッドキャストよく聞いてるからさ。それ出てきたことある、そう。
Yeah, but I think within friend relationships, I'd say hugging is less common within like guy friendships.
うん。
And definitely more common. Well, I mean, then I think it's probably pretty common within mixed or like female.
うん。
I'm not a hugger, but like my brothers kind of like almost forced me to be more of a hugger.
かわいいな。
So the only times I would definitely like, hug a friend would be like if it was some sort of like movie scene where I'm like flying to the end of the world.
ああ
And
ね。
yeah.
なんかやっぱ日本ではさ、同性でハグすることはまあ、あるとしてもさ、男女の間でするとまた別の意味になっちゃうからさ。で、例えば、ジョイがさ、例えばさ、めっちゃさ、可愛い女の子にさ、ハグされたらさ、ときめがないの？
I don't actually. Well, this is actually a good question, or not a good question. I just remembered something. So I did have a
う
friend
ん。
when I was in
う
Japan.
ん。
She was half Japanese or either full Japanese or whatever. And we did. I mean, like hugging is not weird between like mixed.
うん。
At least in my head, it isn't. Between like male female hugging isn't as
う
weird.
ん。
But now I'm wondering if I guess this person was half American, half Japanese, so maybe it wasn't weird.
うん。
But to other Japanese people, I guess they might have misinterpreted this hug
うん。
because it was a fairly public setting.
うん。で、答えは？
But so you think people are dating if they're hugging then?
うん。ん？
That's strange. So you're saying if you see two people hugging in Japan, like boy girl, then you think they're dating?
うん。何ガール同士？
No. Like male female.
ああ、うん、まあそうじゃない？ だってしないもん、普通の、なんていうの、友達同士で。そう。か
Wait,
ら、多分、なんだろうね。例えば、片方がさ、まあ、なんていうの、全然ハグいけるぜ、みたいな人でもさ、片方がそうじゃない人だったらさ、その、やられる側はさ、なんか、ちょっと、違和感を覚えるよね。
I mean, I definitely think it makes it worse if you don't like if a hug is coming, I feel like you have to commit to the hug. If you just leave the hug, if you don't commit to the hug, it makes the whole thing extremely awkward. And I'm not even a hugger, so I'm just saying it's like kind of if you go for a handshake and then somebody puts up a fist instead of like they go for a fist bump.
そういうのもしないな。あ、日本ってそういうのしないね。フェイスバンプとかさ、握手もしないし、帰り際バイバイだけだよ。手振る。
Something that my professor said, which is I kind of don't agree with, is he's like, well, Japanese parent they express their like whatever intimacy or whatever in different ways. And my claim is I just fundamentally think that like with no human touch between parent and child, there has to be some measurable difference of like how close you feel to your parents.
Me personally, 私個人的にはね、全然なんか feel close じゃないから。
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure about all, but off the top of my head, all of the Asian friends I can think that I have a very distant relationship with their parents.
ああ、それも関係あるね、多
Like
分。
I have a Korean friend who, like the only time I hear him talk to his parents, every time he goes from like being loud and like kind of energetic, and then when he starts talking to his dad, it looks like he's going through like post-traumatic stress, and then he like his voice gets really quiet and he starts mumbling in Korean. And then I have a Japanese friend who is some doctor parents, and he's like, it's kind of the same thing where like he suddenly gets very formal, and like the whole environment, or I guess the vibe of the room gets very serious every time their parents are involved.
家庭にもよるね。ダメだね。なんか、it depends ばっかだけどさ。
I don't know. I'm just okay. Here's a better question. Do you have any friends who you think they're like really close with their parents in Japan?
うん。なんかね、どうなんだなんか、シングルマザーの家庭だとさ、なんか仲いいイメージはある。そう、まあ、私の周りだけかもしれないけどさ、なんか友達同士みたいな。
Yeah, actually, yeah, I think
そうじゃない
you might be
なん
right.
か。
I mean, but I'm just talking about like two-parent households. Because my conjecture is that a lack of touch, like, okay, so obviously there's the truth that like there's some cultures that, let's say like kissing, for example, and in some Hispanic, like I think Brazil and some other places, it's very common to introduce with a kiss. And because of that, kissing is less sexual or whatever. It's less of a big deal. But even so, I think that regardless of the specific culture, like physical contact builds intimacy. And I don't mean sexual intimacy. I just mean like closeness.
ないね。ないね。
Because it seems like most Asian households, the parent might as well have just like zoomed in all their parenting. Because they've never touched their child. It's like after they're born and they've left the womb, they no longer have like touched their parents.
いや、まあ、赤ちゃんの時はさ、お世話とかあるから、まあ、触るだろうけど、おむつ交換とかね。
That's actually a very interesting thought. There are probably many people who haven't. This sounds weird, but haven't made contact, like physical contact, or touched their parents in like decades, but they live in the same
普通に
house.
それが大半だと思う。
That's crazy to think about, though.
毎日ハグするの行ってきます。ハグ。行ってきます。
Oh no, I mean not like every day, but it's not uncommon. I'm just saying it seems really weird to like think that the two bodies of matter have never made contact even though they've been in the same space for like over 20 years.
やらないね。代わりに、言葉でも言わないよね、日本人は。なんか、アメリカはまあ他の国でもさ、I love you はめっちゃ言うじゃん。けど、
Yeah.
日本人で愛してるとか言わないから、絶対言ったら、みたいな感じになるよ。愛してる。
I'm just wondering, what was my teacher referring to when he said that Japanese parents show it in different ways? What other, if you don't say it, you don't express it physically.
だから、
what is the, what does that look like? What is the love?
全くしないんだよ、逆に。何もしない。そう。
Okay, well, isn't in any form?
No.
How does one know whether they're close to their parent?
知らない。
Wait, so I mean, so in that sense, though, I'm as equally as close to your parents as you are to them, right? I guess. Because so just like you, I've never hugged your parents, so.
そうだね。
So in that sense, we're equally as close.
なんだろう、多分さ、close は言葉で直接言うんじゃなくて、なんか行動でなんかしてあげるとかじゃない？例えばさ、わかった。お弁当をめっちゃ手込んで作ってくれるとかさ、送り迎えしてくれるとか、あと、まあ最近は文句言う人もいると思うけど、なんていうの、体操着洗ってあげたり、洋服洗ってあげたり、ご飯作ったりみたいな、そういう、なんていうの、行動で示してる感はある気がする。
All of those things I think are common for moms and dads of all
だけど、
what's it called, backgrounds.
言わないね。愛してるっていう言葉は言わないね。
I will say though that the Japanese bento, they do go hard on those with like the sausage octopuses.
そう。キャラ弁とか作って、キャラ弁って知ってる？
No.
キャラ弁っていうのはキャラクター弁当で、なんか、食材を使って、アートを作るみたいな感じ。めっちゃすごいよ。皆さんキャラ弁ね、面白いのいっぱいあるんで、ぜひ見てください、Google で。本当に、だからそういう、なんか手込んだこととか、行動でね、示してる気がするね。
I mean, I will say that American lunches are kind of like, at least in my experience, and I believe this is for at least back in my day, it's just like you get a bunch of very shitty fast food, like what's it called? Oh god, Capri Sun, which is like a juice packet which tastes terrible, and then like a very bad tasting sandwich, and so like that compared to the keraben
サンドイッチとかね。
Yeah.
ねえ、だから。
Like very low effort, bad lunches. So maybe that's where all the love goes into the bento.
そう。だから、言わない代わりに、すべてために食べた愛情は全部お弁当に行ってんだよ。
I mean, that bento must taste pretty good to make up for all the lack of...
わかんないけどね。まあ、だってね、言わないよね。だって普通に、まあ映画とか見ててもさ、普通に行ってきますもん、I love you とか言うじゃん。普通に。Bye mom, love you とかさ、言うよね。
Yeah, well, yeah.
そういうのも言わないね。
Depends, but yeah.
一日何回言うのってぐらい言うよね。
I mean, I don't know. I don't count it. But I mean, a fair amount.
日本
So, I mean, I'm curious. I guess we can ask, there has to be, if there are any listeners or Japanese listeners or Asian who have parents that hug them, please tell us what your relationship is like with your parents.
多分
I need to know, or other ways that you think that love is expressed.
いないと思うよ。
Well, we'll see.
Okay. Hello, we're back.
Back. Rotta.
Yes. Okay, so a lot happened this week. So, can I start?
どうぞ。
Okay, so this week, I mean last week, yeah, because it's Monday here. So, but last week I had this first year student welcome party, like trial week for clubs. Yeah. And I belong to English speaking club, and I'm the vice captain, vice president.
Vice President.
Yeah.
そう。
So, yeah, I planned to play games, right? And I decided to
Card game.
Yeah, I decided to do Card Against Humanity.
Cards.
Cards Against Humanity. So, yeah, because Joey suggested this. So, yeah.
アメリカでは結構有名なカードゲームだから。
Oh, yeah. And I expected that I could have fun, right?
まあ、ゲームのルールを説明した方がいいかもね。まず。なんかカード against humanity は、まあいろんなカードがあるんだけど、そのなんかみんなが手札に7枚加えて、それから1枚か、まあ1枚のカードを選んで、なんかカードの、まあ、テーブルの中では一つの、なんか1枚のカードは、なんていうか設定がある。例えば、everybody needs a 10で、それぞれのカードがなんか名詞、動詞、文章が書かれている。
No, only
で、自分の手札。only 名詞だけ。
Yep, because you have to fill in the blank. Yeah.
で、手札から一つを選んで、そのなんか文章を作る。So everybody needs a で、例えば car とか。
hug
で、何
hug
hug そう。で、みんながその、なんていうか、その場面に文章に合わせたカードを選んで、まあ、真ん中の、テーブルの真ん中に、置いて、で、みんながそのカードを翻して、で、一人の人が一番面白いカードを選ぶ。
Oh, yeah.
でも、カード against humanity は、ちょっとなんか汚いゲームで、ほとんどの名詞は、だいたいエロいことに関する。
Oh, yeah. So this is why everyone was kind of to play that, because I didn't know that we had so many dirty jokes cards.
まあ、ほぼ全部結構dirtyだと思う。
Yeah, like 80 to 90%. So, yeah, like so since we're all Japanese, so we had to look up words on the internet. So like we're all searching for the meanings, and yeah, so it was like
1枚のカードは、pixelated 不角形だった。
Yeah, so yeah.
でもみんながその言葉知らなかった。英語だと思ってたから。
Yeah, but it's a Japanese word, right? Because like we don't use this for like how do I say erotic kind of meaning, but we just say like udon or something. Like yeah, you put a lot of things on udon kind of stuff. So yeah. And also like Japanese people were shy to talk about stuff like this, like erotic kind of stuff. So yeah, and especially we are university students, so and we didn't have drinks, so yeah, that was kind of hard.
いや、私は逆になんか居酒屋みたいな環境を作ると思った。そのカードゲームが汚いからみんながなんか落ち着けると思ってたんだけど、まあちょっと失敗に終わった。
Yeah.
でしょ？
So yeah, we were playing in this at university, so we didn't drink, yo.
いや、酒を飲むんじゃなくて、その汚い雰囲気が、これは、なんていうか、楽しいゲームで、何でも OK みたいな状況を作れると思った。
Yeah, someone said that,
でも、
yeah, he needed drinks. So, to play this, so, yeah.
謝罪する。
Yeah. Yeah.
でもアメリカでは結構、なんか私は高校の時にあるクラブ、私が作ったストラテジーエンドゲームクラブのためてやったんだけど、まあ、その時は良かったんだけど、多分一般人のアメリカ人と一般の、日本人がそういう点に関してはちょっと異なるかもしれない。
Yeah.
汚いジョーク。
Yeah, we don't talk about this, yeah. Well, yeah. And that was the whole week. And yesterday I went to Gunma Prefecture.
群馬県。
Yeah. And it was Oze. And we went to see this mizubasho. It's a flower.
あ、花だったの？
Yeah, yeah.
その水場所。
Yeah, yeah. And yeah,
バナナだと思ってた。その調べた時にバナナだと思ってた。その場所。
Banana?
Banana fiber とかなんか書いてあった。
No.
辞書で。
I guess it's a flower. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But yeah, so we went to see there. We went to see that. And yeah, I have fun. I get to hang out with friends, and I met 3 new people and talked to them. It was a whole new whole new experience.
There's a whore.
whore じゃないよ。Oh yeah. So yeah.
思ってたんだけど、まあこれはそのトップでデイになる可能性があるんだけど、そのハイキング、これはなんかトレイルだったでしょ？
Trail, yeah.
こういう水場所。
Mm-hmm.
名前は何でしたっけ？
大勢？
その、大勢。うん。なんか私が気になったことは、普通の、なんか平たい平野でしたっけ？平野？
平野？
平野、平野。
平野。
なんで、その、平野。平野だったんだけど、なんか、橋があった。そういうなんか歩くための。で、なんでかなと思った。なんかアメリカではそういうハイキングのところは、まあ私の経験からすると、ほとんどはレールとか橋ない。完全に。
No, because it was, how do I say? There was water.
沼だった？
Yeah, 沼。Yeah, I don't know how to say in English.
Swamp.
Yeah.
でもどのぐらいあったの？なんか湖とか、ただの沼？
沼。Yeah, so like, yeah, we can't, apparently we can't walk on the water so we need 橋 to walk on the water.
でも写真ではそんなになんか少しぐらい道路とかあるかもしれないんだけど。
The whole ground was covered with water, yo.
そういうことか。
Yeah, that's why.
じゃあ納得できる。
Yeah.
ただなんか、血が汚いから橋を作ったと思った。
No. Well, yeah, it was
電源撤回。
Yeah, nice, relaxing, yeah, walking way. Yeah.
よかった。
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so what happened this week, Joey?
すごく久々に風邪をひいた。今でもまあひいてる？なんていうか病気？
Yeah.
病気中。
Oh no.
マジで大変。昨日、ポッドキャスト録音しようと思ってたんだけど、結構無理だったから、まあやめて、まあ今やってるんだけど、喉痛いし、耳も痛いし、でも、毎週やるのは大事だと思ってたから頑張っている。
Yeah, I hope you get well soon. And if anybody, so how do I say? So Joey might want you guys hugs. So Like,
い
as
や、
a sen-
病気だからハグしてく、ハグしない方がいいかも。
Well, yeah, you need like warming hugs, right? To like feel better.
痛いの飛んでいけ。
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, please send us get well soon Joey messages. Yeah. So,
なんか、前に病気になった時は多分5年以上だった気がする。すごく久々。
wow.
すごく嫌だな。
It's a good
病気にな
thing.
る
It's
なん
a
て。
good thing because, baka wa kaze hikanai. So, yeah, you proved that you're not stupid. In a
いや、
way.
バカの方がいいかもね。あ、また、最近というか今週、アキラの上映に行った。
Ooh, what's Akira?
1990年のアニメ。アメリカで、アメリカに英語じゃなくて、アニメを紹介したアニメ。最初の。もちろんジブリの映画あったんだけど、このアニメは、これはアニメということをアメリカに知らせた。
I didn't know that.
で、すごく、アメリカでは有名。日本で知られてるの？アキラは。
Well, yeah, my kohai knew this Akira, and he suggested, yeah, that I should watch this. But I don't know, like, it's not like Ghibli.
いや、あやみが好
so,
きかどうかわかんない。すごく、怖くて不思議な映画だけど、結構いいと思う。アニメーションも最高。このアニメの他の、なんていうか、知られてる情報は、ほとんどのアニメは、アニメだけじゃないんだけど、毎秒24枚の、なんていうか、画像がある。で、それぞれの、アニメーションは画像でできてるでしょ？絵で。それで、1秒で24枚の画像がある。
Okay.
その動画だから。それが動画の意味。どのぐらい、ユニークの画像があるってこと。わかる？
Yeah.
それで 2秒で48枚。40、そう。
That means...
でもほとんどのアニメでは、それぞれの4枚は同じ、なんていうか、レピート。ユニークではない。ただコピーして、コピーされてるフレームが4枚ぐらい、ある。でも、アキラの場合だと、それぞれの1枚はユニーク。
So then, like,
フレーム一つコピーされてなかった。
Don't your eyes get tired?
いや、そういうことじゃなくて、そのアニメーター、そういう、それぞれの絵を描いた人、それぞれのフレームはユニーク。手で描かれていた。
描かれてた？
普通のアニメはそうじゃない。そう。普通のアニメは、それぞれの4枚をコピーして、その時間をセーブするため。でも、アキラは、発売されてた時に、一番お金をかかるアニメだった。今でも結構かかってると思うんだけど、でも1かどうかわかんない。そのためにすごくアニメーションは最高。すごく。
It was grotesque?
そう。エロとグロ。エログロはアニメのジャンルだけど、1990年代のジャンルかな。でも、アキラは、そういうエログロが好きな人なら多分 アニメ、アキラも好きかもしれないんだけど、まあ、英語で、for the light-hearted, or is it faint of heart? の人なら、アキラ見ない方がいいかもね。And we're back with the final section. And at the top of the final section, yay, because I always forget, maybe I think I forget to say this, but I don't. But if you have any language-related questions and or not language-related questions, send an email to lazyfluency@gmail.com, because this, I guess, is now the part of the show where we're going to respond to comments, questions, other things like that. We've been doing language relents and stuff for a while, but I kind of wanted to have a more consistent section for responding to stuff, and this is that section. So, or I guess if you comment anywhere too, that also works. But I kind of want to see a mail in our inbox because that would be cool. So, if you have any questions, language related or otherwise, send an email to lazyfluency@gmail.com. And we might respond in the next episode. And this episode, we are responding to not a question, but it was just a longer comment that I thought warranted a response, or I guess part of a longer comment. So this was commented by a listener called Shock Ox, is how I'm going to guess about the pronunciation of the name on YouTube. And he was doing a longer response regarding many things, but the part that I was interested in was about one of our episodes prior. We talked about how, like, my idealized version of Japanese is one where kanji is only used for nouns, hiragana is only used for like connecting particles, and katakana is only used for names. I believe that is my stance, and I kind of stick by that stance. And what he said was, so he said, well, I did this while running, so I don't have well, okay, let me read this. I'll say that, wait, okay, I'm terrible at reading. Oh, okay. Well, it was written, it seemed like he was writing while running, so the grammar is kind of broken up, so it's not entirely my fault, but he said that, and I see the opposite of what you want happening with the language. We're going to be like the Japanese in 10 years Dogen video. Katakana for every word, and only the structural hiragana, kanji is out. So I'm not sure if you know, Dogen is like he does YouTube videos on Japanese pronunciation and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen, or maybe I've seen this video. I think I've seen this video before, but I think it's just kind of the feeling that many Japanese learners have, where Japanese is slowly going to evolve to a point where katakana is basically the primary, like everything is majority katakana, and then hiragana is just going to be there just for like particles like ni, wa, ga, or whatever. Do you think this is a realistic I kind of see where he's coming from, and even though I have my ideal version of how kanji, katakana, and hiragana all work together, I also don't really have much faith. There was a word, what was it? This happens more and more frequently every day, but I feel like there's a word for something that is actually used and pretty common in like, that's Japanese or whatever, or let's say non-Western loanword. And then you'll say something that is just like in English, like the katakana version of it, and I've never heard it used like that before. And I feel like this is getting more and more common. Like, for example, instead of soushin, which is like used on your phone, you can say message or like nine. Do you have any what's it called? Do you have any? Do you see the trajectory of katakana as one that's going to invade the entire language?
科学の分野だったら全部カタカナじゃない？
Yeah, that one I think is inescapable though. No, I'm talking about like casual language. That is funny though. Like, yeah, you showed me some of your medicine homework and it's all katakana.
あとは、ファッションとかさ、カジュアルズボンとかさ、なんかファッション全部カタカナな気がする。 なあ、あと、なんだろう。もう、カタカナ使わないのってありえないよね。よくさ、カタカナ禁止ゲームとか、カタカナっていうか、英語言っちゃいけないゲームみたいなさ、よくあってさ、それができるぐらい、カタカナって結構日常で使われてるから、ね。もう、すべての
Well,
分
yeah,
野。
that's something I find interesting. I did somebody in one of my classes in Japanese who he did what would you call it? Like a larger project, a senior project on katakana specifically,
うん。
and he was arguing that katakana is Japanese because it's not mutually intelligible
うん。
to like English speakers. But my thing is Japanese people treat katakana as if it's not Japanese. You know what I'm saying with your eigo tsukachai dame
うん。
game.
うん。
I'm assuming that's referring to katakana, right?
そうね。うんうん。まあ、カタカナって、
But katakana is
う
Japanese.
ん。
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't go up to a like a native English speaker and say like McDonald's wa like where is McDonald's?
うん、まあ、そう。カタカナニアリーイコール英語みたいな感じ。
Yeah.
う
And I just
ん。
find it interesting because it's like it's part of the language, but at the same time it's like separated.
そう
And like the
ね。
natives, even the native speakers of the language view like a segment of their language
う
as
ん。
like, yeah, that's Japanese, but it's not actually Japanese, but it's sort of Japanese.
うんうんうんうん。
Do you find it difficult? So like you showed me on your assignment, like this is medical bunch of medical terminology.
う
Do you
ん。
find that difficult to read when it's just like katakana on katakana on katakana? Because it literally just sounded like an English sentence
まあ、
with
だけ
like
ど
some
ね。
added suru.
個人的にはカタカナのが読みやすいなとは思った。だってこういう、
You think it's easier? Oh God, no, I'm
いや、な
screwed.
んでかっ
The
てい
future
う
of Japanese is
と、
screwed.
あの、こういう系の話題って全部漢字になるんだよ。全部漢字になると逆に意味がわからないんだよ。なんだっけ。何の画像は送ったか忘れたけどさ、なんか、なんだっけなんだっけその、
Well, I remember a lot of the words weren't even medical words. They were like no, it wasn't comfortable. What was it? I remember the meaning being like in order to create a was it a like comfortable in something environment for patients or something. But I'm trying to remember the specifics.
いや、私も忘れちゃったけど、
But is it only because you know English that you think it makes
い
it
や、
easier to get the
い
meaning?
や、まあどうなんだろうね。私、日本語苦手だからさ、国語苦手だからさ、漢字見るとね、ちょっと無理。漢字が、なんかダラララって書いてあって、で、その意味知らないからさ、どういう意味ってなるんだけど、カタカナだったらさ、そ
But
の、
katakana doesn't have any meaning attached to it. You have to know the word, right?
まあそ
So
っ
like if you don't know the word, you don't
か。
know the word. But if I don't know the word with kanji, I can still guess based off the kanji.
じゃあ例えばね、生物的倫理っていう言葉があったとするよ。生物的倫理。
Yeah.
それ全部漢字なのね。生物的倫理。
Yeah.
それがさ、カタカナだと、バイオロジカルエシックスとか書かれるんだよ。多分。そっちの方がね、
Okay.
そっちの方がなんかわかりやすいっちゃわかりやすい気がするんだよね。
Well, if you know English, maybe. But also, when you read, if I saw that in katakana, maybe this is just me being terrible at Japanese, I would be stumbling for about 5 minutes trying to figure out what it's saying.
それはあれじゃ音が違う
Because
か
I
ら
wouldn't
じゃ
know
ない
where I don't know where to cut it up, like
で
at
しょ
all. Normally
うん。
with kanji, my guess is just every two kanji. You just assume that's like a set phrase.
う
Because most of the
ん。
time that's true. So you said seibutsu rinri.
う
Or no,
ん。
seibutsu teki rinri.
まあまあ、私が勝手に作った
Um,
言葉だけどね。そう、例えばそういう言
yeah.
葉があったとして、まあ。だからこれは生物的倫理はさ、まあわかる言葉じゃん。だけどたまにっていうかよくあるんだけど、意味わかんない漢字たちがずらずら並べられてるさ、ワードとかあるわけよ。そうす
Well,
る
yeah, if I don't know the kanji, then that makes it
そう
difficult.
そう。
But I feel like the thing with katakana is it has no kanji. So if you don't know the word, you don't know the word.
そうだね。そうそうそう。 ま
Oh, this is a common one. I think metamorphosis. This is a book, but I've seen metamorphosis.
あ、それわかんないかも。
Yeah, and then the worst part is if you don't know it, you have to spend about a minute making sure you don't know it and repeating it in your head. Metamorphosis. Is it metamorpha? Oh no, it's metamorphosis.
そうね。
At least for me. That's my beef with it. But yeah, I don't know. I think given that you find katakana easier, I might be doomed. That's what I replied with. But I think over as every day progresses, my Japanese will get worse and worse as I struggle to hold on to the kanji in my vocabulary. And every time I say a word with kanji, I'll be like, oh, that's a gaikuji. He's using all this kanji.
だってフライドポテトとさ、バレイショ揚げ物だったら絶対フライドポテトの方がわかりやすいじゃん。
Well, that's straight up just for a food though. Foods are in their own what's it called category.
何それ
Like we call ramen. We don't call it long noodles inside what's it called? A broth, a pork broth.
じゃあなんかダメだ。例えばさ。わかんない。やっぱやめよう。わかんないです。
That's all good. Yeah. I just I'm now feeling nihilistic about the future of my. I have to. I don't know. I mean I am interested to see, I guess, as it progresses, if like the way that we'll know if katakana has taken over is if they reduce the joho kanji. Or is it joyo?
Joyo?
Yeah, joyo kanji. Yeah, joyo, not joho. Which is like 2000 whatever. It's the mandatory kanji you have to learn through like Japanese education, like through elementary, middle, and high school. But like 10 years from now, if the joyo kanji goes from like 2000 whatever kanji to like 500, we'll know why.
増えるってこと
No. I see it decreasing in the future. Because it'll all be katakana. Yeah.
ほら。そりゃないだろう。
That bell means we've reached the end of today's episode. Thanks for joining us in another lazy conversation towards fluency. If you have any language-related questions and or are just looking for general advice, send an email to lazyfluency@gmail.com and we might respond in the next episode. Also, make sure to check out our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and more. We'd appreciate the support. This has been Joey.
And Ayami.
Signing off.
Jane. Bye-bye.